If you've ever felt you deserve something beautiful that you were refused, if you sacrificed for years and wondered when you'd finally be rewarded, if you're tired of spiritual concepts that sound profound but are hard to embody, this series is that reckoning. When a woman takes her gaze off God and starts chasing the man she loves, she falls into oblivion. And why is that? Because the only reason he was attracted to her to begin with was because she wasn't paying much attention to him. He was attracted to her existing glow. He wanted to uncover what is the mystery that makes her shine. But before Okinawa granted me what I wanted, it gave me what I needed. Let's begin with what sovereignty actually is. I traveled across the world wanting nothing but to bathe naked in the warm sea of Okinawa. That's it. That was my deep spiritual longing. Okinawa, sunshine on bare skin, warm water holding my body without the cold bite I had endured for nearly 20 years in Denmark. Sensory pleasure, freedom, and delight, only to be met with warning signs everywhere. Dangerous marine life, enter at your own risk. I felt cheated, refused something precious that I had paid for, not just with money, but with 2 decades of sacrifice. Volunteer work disguised as karma yoga, yoga of action for spiritual purposes. Spiritual seeking that had cost me family time, career, personal desires, warmth itself, and some health issues despite, doing yoga. And here I was, finally in a paradise-like place. At my choice, I chose that place. And it told me, no. Do you know that feeling of being rejected as your first reaction when you don't get what you want and you believe you did your part and now it's time for the reward? But before Okinawa granted me what I wanted, it gave me what I needed. Challenges, revelations, tests I didn't sign up for. Or did I? One revelation came in the most unexpected place. A shrine in a ruined castle pointing at feminine sovereignty. I had studied about it in tantric texts for years, but never actually seen embodied, not in spiritual communities, not in society. Did you notice the wannabe culture we have developed in our society where we wish we were special and divine, but we don't really behave like we believe we are? Finding the same message here, an ancient knowledge about women as bridges between God and the world, sparkled inside me a warmth and an inner knowledge that was not just theory, not just metaphor, but actual wisdom, forgotten but not absent. And standing there, I felt sovereign in my own being for the first time in my life. And that naked bath I wanted, I eventually got it, adjusted to the environment and circumstances, but only after passing certain initiations I didn't know were coming. This Okinawa series documents those tests and what they revealed about how personal will and divine will actually work together. This series is about, first, what does feminine sovereignty actually mean? when you strip away both modern empowerment performance and traditional submission narratives. I'm exploring this in this video, so keep watching. 2. How to integrate fear and turn it into an opportunity for spiritual evolution. In the video titled "Your Fears Are Not There to Scare You, but to Propel You into Your True Power," I share what an inspiring example I believe Okinawa and Japan in general offers. As a nation of more than 120 million people living with threats of earthquakes, tsunamis, venomous creatures, thriving instead of being paralyzed by fear. Third, what happens when you realize your Western entitlement mentality is quietly running your life and nature herself teaches you the humbleness you thought you had already acquired through years of spiritual practice? Watch the video titled "Don't Miss What Is Because of What Isn't," where I explore how acceptance and adapting to an environment perceived as hostile is not the end game. True fulfillment and self-knowledge are. And 4, how do you know your life journey has freed you? In the video titled "Service is Sacred, Self-Erasure is Not," I share how that naked bathing I desperately wanted became possible only after I integrated a deeper transformation, proving that personal desire is divine will, just wrapped in layers of growth our minds can't foresee, but our soul are starting for, and how dignity and discernment are keys. Let's begin with what sovereignty actually is. Walking through the ruins of Nakijin Castle in full presence, aiming to connect in the subtle to the long-gone people and lifestyle that once enlivened them, despite the rain. It was so warm and cozy, and beauty slowly started to shine its colors and reach into my soul. Before I even entered the actual castle, I lingered around some old tree formation, sheltering from the pouring rain. A small construction caught my attention. A small shrine where Noro priestesses of Nakijin offer prayers in the month of August. Entering the actual castle ruins, I felt embraced by nature, blending with the castle walls. Soitsugi Utaki, one of the most important sites of worship, put my mind into a blank. Basically, beautiful stones and trees. That was a place of worship. No decoration, no objects, just a beautiful spot of nature itself. I got goosebumps simply being there and feeling the stillness, like an intense presence, a silent force that looked simple to the normal eye, but felt sovereign and connected to the rest of the island, to the sea, not separate. I felt the complex simplicity of God embodied in a beautiful tree and rocks. And I realized, why not? My mind was blank because there was no idol to worship on this sacred worship site, but the radiating spirit of God beautifying that tree and rocks. I felt an instant ease at recognizing the very same spirit alive in me and in everything else that carried the spark of life on this planet. Further on, exploring within the castle ruins, I found myself in front of Hinukan, shrine of the god of fire. Wait, what are Noro priestesses? They were given fire by the god of fire himself. In Greek mythology, people were helped by Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give it to the people and was punished. In tantric alchemy, fire is the transforming element, and the alchemist is responsible for keeping it alive and under control, for transformation to follow its harmonious course. And here in Okinawa, I find a friendly god of fire who just gave it to women. I felt a sudden stroke of heat in my chest and an energetic wave rising suddenly to the top of my head. One of those unexpected moments that touches me so deeply that I feel my whole body inflamed, like a rocket launched into the sky, into the embracing arms of God. I had felt these energy surges before, but I always linked them to specific spiritual practices or tantric contexts. This was the first time that I could have a similar experience in a totally new context, new culture, new land, and I realized the nature of fire is free from context and culture. It is life itself, and it creates and maintains and can destroy life. It is the light, the same light I was inspired to be after listening to Taka's song, Be the Light. And since no one else was around, I was even happier to just allow myself to feel this. I realized that simply being alive, touched by the power of beauty and simplicity of nature, dissolved my mental constructions, and I could really just be. This was my microcosmic godly experience, reflected and reflecting the macrocosmic experience of God through countless other living beings. This was my first initiation into the mysteries of Okinawan spirituality. And yes, it did surprise me to find out their way of bridging God with people and the island and the community was through women. I have tried for years to have a sacred partnership where the man provides conscious awareness, grounding, protection, a frame for me to just relax and fully trust my intuition. But my eyes were not on God. They were on the man, teaching and raising him first. I did not listen to that very intuition that becomes a source of power, not just for me, but for him too. I did not show him what he could not see for himself. I told him about it. I translated the invisible to the visible while waiting for him to make me glow. My tantric teacher kept telling me, keep your focus on God. And now in Okinawa, something shifted within me, reframing my entire perspective. Speaking of, if you want to explore your own sovereignty, I made a simple 7 days online course for women on exactly this. translating the unconscious to conscious, helping you embody the wisdom you already carry. Check the link in the description. Here's what insight I got at that shrine. When a woman takes her gaze off God and starts chasing the man she loves, she falls into oblivion. And more often than not, that man will not catch her when she falls from her own center. And why is that? Because the only reason he was attracted to her to begin with was because she wasn't paying much attention to him. He wanted to discover what she was so fascinated with, the source of her glow. He was attracted to her existing glow. Already there, he wanted to uncover what is the mystery that makes her shine. But once she puts him on the pedestal, he feels lost. He tries his best to bring back that glow to her face, but he knows there is a mystery only she can access. A mystery he cannot manufacture for her. Unless she keeps her gaze on God, they both drown in the oblivion of 3D limitations, fears, attachments, worries, lack, material needs, unhealed traumas. All the inner work, therapy, healing modalities, shadow integration, good work, necessary work, horizontal work. True spiritual growth is vertical. You dive into the depths of the human condition, only to rise back up to its godly origin. You explore the wounds that formed the ego and hurt the soul. Yes, but only to remember the spirit within that enlivens this physical existence in the first place. The Noro knew this. They kept their gaze on the kami, on spirit, so they could serve as bridges. They didn't chase, they tended the fire. Legend says that the heavenly emperor sent the goddess Amamikyu to create Ryukyu islands. She descended to earth and built the first castles and communities. And without sexual intercourse, she became pregnant and populated the islands with people. The virgin birth, similar to Christianity, just in a different cultural frame. The feminine as vessel for divine creation, as mythological truth across cultures. In Hinduism, Shiva creates through Shakti. Generations later, her descendant, Tentei, organized Ryukyuan society into 5 classes through his children. His first son became the first king. His second son became the first feudal lord. His third son became the first farmer. But his first daughter became the royal priestess, Kikoe Ogimi. And his second daughter became the first village priestess, Noro. The sons were entrusted with rulership over the kingdom and providers. The daughters were entrusted with spiritual authority. Not one person taking care of everything, not each taking their part and leaving, but each bringing their specific contribution for the benefit of the entire kingdom. Men could not enter the sacred sites. Only women could. The entire kingdom organized itself around this. Spiritual connection was solely in the power of women. Here's what matters the most. The god of fire, Hinukan, gave to each Noro a piece of fire to create a village hearth. Every family in that village would take fire from the Noro's hearth to maintain their own family's hearth. The god of fire is a protector of family fire, and he clearly helps everyone. If someone is far away from home and they cannot go there to pray, They would simply pray to the Hinukan in a kitchen, any kitchen, with no specific altar or fixed ritual, asking for Toshi Wugwa, a prayer transfer. The Hinukan would then deliver the message to their desired destination. The Kikoe Ogimi maintained the royal hearth at Shuri Castle. The Noro maintained the village hearths. Women quite literally kept the spiritual fire alive for the entire kingdom. And this practice is still alive to this day. They conducted all official rituals. They communicated with ancestors and deities. They wore white robes, symbolizing spiritual purity. And they held this position until death, not as volunteers, but as sacred service. The system was centralized in the late 1400s so that every village in the kingdom had a Noro. And this wasn't folklore. This was national spiritual infrastructure, with women as architects and caretakers. And here's where my tantric understanding illuminates what I saw in Okinawa, though I'm sharing my perspective, my interpretation, regardless of what any society chooses to do with godly inspired insight. I studied this in tantric traditions for years. As women, we have the ability to connect instantly with the divine when we feel safe, relaxed, loved, and supported. We are wired differently than men. Our intuition, the so-called superpower, isn't magic. It's the capacity to see connections between everything, to hold multiple realities simultaneously, to not think in boxes, but in webs of relationship. And this same gift confuses us, makes us vulnerable to hormonal cycles, worries, fears, other people's expectations, emotions blending into our field. Without conscious awareness, intuition can become overwhelmed. Tantric texts describe this sacred partnership. The masculine principle provides grounding, protection, the frame, creating safety where feminine intuition, exploration, creativity, pure manifestation can fully open and dance. Christian mystics speak of devotion to the divine, creating that same frame. But Okinawa showed me this principle in a completely different cultural expression. When I heard that men could not enter the sacred sites, that spiritual authority belonged to women while rulership belonged to men, I recognized something from my tantric study: complementary roles serving the whole. In tantric teachings, when a woman feels genuinely safe, not performing safety, not tolerating unsafe situations, her entire being, her intuition, her creativity opens her up like a flower. She can hear what wants to come through. She can bring it into manifestation. She can nurture it into full maturity. She can translate the formless into form. And when the masculine principle, a man, but it can also be the structure of the community, your own inner awareness, when that creates the frame through grounding and protection, it is freed from having to prove dominance. Strength gains vertical purpose, serving the sacred work rather than competing for power. The Noro system embodied this for me. Women keeping the spiritual fire alive, men excluded from interfering with that sacred service, yet providing structure and safety, the entire kingdom benefiting from each playing their role. And this isn't spiritual fantasy. This is how one civilization organized itself when innate different roles were honored rather than competing for hierarchy. Not empowerment performance, not submission, but sacred service with clear boundaries. That is sovereignty. Feminine sovereignty is knowing you are gifted to be a portal. What spirit wants to manifest through you in response to the needs of your surroundings and of your own needs, of your soul's needs, of the people around you, and having that awareness and devotion to tend that fire daily. We live in a time when women are exhausted from performing either badass bitch, corporate style, or surrendered feminine without accessing the actual sovereignty. The Noro kept the connection between heaven and earth for their entire community because they remembered their divine nature and devoted themselves to it. And that's exactly what you are being called to do now. In your own life, sovereignty isn't about understanding concepts. It's about embodying your godly nature, knowing yourself truly, your inner fire, and tending it consciously. Here's a practice for you. And this isn't a one-time meditation. This is like, I suggest, a 7-week minimum commitment. Ideally practiced weekly, daily, if you can, if you're ready for deeper transformation. And it is best to take 20 to 30 minutes for each session. Well, to begin with, make sure you are not disturbed. You will need a journal, a quiet space, a pen, and optionally a candle. This practice will show you your inner fire, your soul, how it burns, what it needs, and how to tend it so you can be the bridge between spirit and your external world. First step, observe your inner fire. I suggest around 3 minutes, but you take your time. If you have a candle, light it now. Put it in front of you. Sit somewhere comfortably. Watch the candle flame for 1 minute. Just notice how it moves, how it flickers, how it changes. Don't analyze, just watch it. Just observe. Now close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Visualize a flame burning inside your chest, a subtle fire that represents your soul. This is your inner heart. For the next 2 minutes, simply observe this flame without judgment. Notice what it looks like. Is it steady, flickering, bright or dim? Is it large or small? What color is it? Don't try to change it. Don't make it better. Just see what is actually there. This flame is always burning within you. You're just learning to witness it. Second step, question your relationship with fire, with your soul. I suggest minimum 7 minutes for this stage, but you can take longer, preferably 10, 20, whatever time you have and whatever feels comfortable. Write whatever comes, no censoring, no performing spiritual correctness. This is between you and your soul, your inner fire, your inner light. Describe your inner fire. How does it burn? What is its size? What color does it have? What is the intensity with which it burns? What is its rhythm? What is its temperature? Is it hot? Is it mid-hot? Is it cooler? Where exactly is it located in your body? Is it in your chest? Is it in your abdomen? Is it down in your genital area? Is it contained or is it reaching beyond your body? Does it connect to anything or anyone else's fire? What is your relationship with this fire? What feelings arise when you watch it? Are you afraid of it? Are you attracted to it? Do you ignore it? Do you force it to burn brighter? Do you let it die? Do you trust this fire? What does this fire need? What does it need to burn the way it wants to burn? What does it miss? What's smothering it? What would make it vibrant, steady, warm? Don't rush. Let the answers come from your intuition. You're not trying to figure anything out. You're listening to what your fire already knows. Step 3. Embody your vibrant fire. This step is ongoing throughout the rest of the day, based on what your fire told you that it needs. Choose one action that you can do 3 times every day until your next session. Not what sounds spiritual, but what your fire actually needs. Maybe it needs more stillness, like 3 minutes of silence in the middle of a chaotic conversation, or more expression, like singing or dancing or speaking your truth. More nourishment, like reading something beautiful for your soul that you love, watching something you love, eating slowly, resting even, like power naps 3 times a day. That would be nourishing for you. More boundaries, like saying no, protecting your energy, removing yourself from a situation or you feel like you're contracting and weighs you down, leaving situations. More connection maybe, reaching out, being vulnerable, asking for help. Whatever you choose, do this action so your flame is properly tended, vibrant. This flame is the real you. This is your soul. Through this action, you are tending your fire. You're feeding it what it needs. And between the sessions, focus on doing your chosen action and noticing how it makes you feel when you do it. For the next session, which can be next day or next week, repeat the same practice and observe the flame. Has it changed? And then throughout that week or that day, notice how you feel inside and how you relate to other people. Journal after each session. Track the changes. This isn't quick. This is devotion. This is heart keeping. Minimum 7 sessions. But honestly, this becomes a long-term practice for women who remember who they truly are. This matters because your inner fire shows you your ability to be the bridge between God and your surroundings, including your beloved, your family, your community, your work. This is why awareness matters. This is why daily action matters. There is so much focus nowadays on self-love and self-care. The truth, the deeper truth beneath that, getting to know yourself, tending to your needs so you feel shining, radiant, glowing, safe in the way you live your life. Not for selfish reasons, but so that you have overflow, so that you can offer tenderness and attention to those around you, so that you can be a warm light in their lives from within. When you tend your fire, people are naturally attracted to your warmth. They want to support you, not out of obligation, but because they benefit from your light too. They see themselves reflected in your glow. This is sovereignty, finding your own path into godhood and walking it, being an inspiration that draws others who genuinely want to contribute to what you are building because it serves them too. Not just supporting you, mutually benefiting from the sacred work you are doing. Standing at that shrine at Nakijin Castle transformed my perspective upon my entire life. Every time I have felt powerless due to people pleasing, I was actually exiled from my sovereignty, not because anyone took it from me, but because I had forgotten who I really was. I had stopped tending my fire. Every time I tried to perform strength, the badass bitch, working until exhausted, I was trying to be powerful over circumstances instead of powerful from within, my sacred role, fulfilling my soul's destiny. And every time I tried to shrink, to fit in, to be the surrendered feminine, to make myself easier to handle, waiting for someone else to make me glow, I was betraying the fire that I am meant to keep alive. The Noro didn't perform, they didn't shrink. They tended their fires, kept their gaze on spirit, and the entire kingdom organized itself around honoring that. So here's what I want you to know. You don't need to travel to Okinawa to find your sovereignty, although I do hope you get to visit there at some point in your life. What you need is to remember you are a bridge between spirit and matter. You always have been, in whatever life circumstances you are living. Find your heart, tend your fire through relaxed awareness and action. Watch what wants to come through. Let yourself shine so brightly that people are naturally drawn to support you because your light benefits them too. That's sovereignty. This was my first revelation in Okinawa, but it wasn't the only one. In the next video, I'll share how I reconfigured my own relationship with fear and safety after observing this amazing Japanese nation and Okinawans living peacefully with earthquakes, tsunamis, venomous sea creatures, thriving instead of paralyzed by fear. Remember to check the link below and get your free 7-day guided practice towards feminine sovereignty. And make sure you tend your fire. You and the world need what wants to come through you.